domestic violence is it's a spectrum. It's not black and white, and there's a whole gray area that kids our age just don't even know about. And I'm just so happy that we could expose some of the signs and red flags and talk about how you can prevent it, how you can get out of it if you are in that kind of situation, and really just educate young people. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the second annual Youth Conversations Luncheon hosted by the Change and Genesee Center. Relationship violence isn't something we all like to think about, let alone talk about. But we have to. If we're going to make a real change and create a culture of respect, we have to engage in a frank conversation about this issue.
1 in 3 teens will experience abuse in a dating relationship, and more than 2/3 of those incidents will never be reported. And the reason why is because part of the reluctance is there's a lack of awareness on what domestic violence is and that it is absolutely unacceptable. There are many resources on the internet and even some cool apps made for teens on teen violence prevention. If you go to the Android or iTunes Market, you can type in TD411 in the search box and a nice app will come up. You know, this app has resources. It has quizzes, MP3s, and music videos with positive messages on dating and also a lot of useful information. We want audiences, young or old, to know that abuse, whether it's physical or if it's through a text message, that it is never acceptable.
When I first founded The Change, it was with the idea that young adults in my generation could come together and be the change that we wanted to see in the world. My involvement with the Genesee Center has opened my eyes to so many of the problems plaguing our world. This global issue that we give so many names, domestic violence, emotional and/or physical abuse, is growing exponentially.
Especially as a teenager, when you're dating, you want people to perceive you as being perfect. You want people to perceive you as being, there's nothing wrong with your life.
I have talked to so many young people who tell me that they like being in dramatic relationships. And if they're not fighting, you know, if something's not going on, if it's not exciting, then to them that's not love.
Unfortunately, if your mind is not developed and you're not as experienced, this drama can turn into your relationships. That's why domestic violence is on the rise in your age group, because it's a cultural thing and it's a popularity thing. But you guys, that's not reality.
He yells at me, I yell at him back. He hits me, I hit him back. You know, we're not in a domestic violence situation. Nothing's going wrong. We're just fighting.
You have to know the definition of domestic violence or the definition of some other abuse in order to know that you're actually being abused.
When you can't go and do what it is that you think you can do without someone being angry, that's your first sign. Someone needing to know where you are 24/7. Being upset when they don't know where you are 24/7. Being very upset if you don't respond to them within a few minutes. Telling you what to wear and what not to wear. Telling you where you can go and not go. Being very, I don't want anybody else looking at you, so therefore take those shorts and put something else on. In the name of I love you so much, there is a controlling aspect. And it is a very blurred line because it feels like love. It feels like protection. But the reality is it's controlling. You see, too many gifts and then throwing those gifts back in your face. Well, I took you to dinner. You know, those kinds of things where you have to keep answering for the gifts that are being given to you. That's another sign.
You don't have to wait to look for a sign of something we label or somebody else labels or you find on a website. If in your gut it doesn't feel right, if you're being pushed to do something, to say something, to wear something that doesn't feel right to you, then follow that sign.
I met a young boy who was also 16, and we did the normal. We didn't have texting and Facebook and all that back in the Stone Ages. And so started off with the phone calls, and I think we went to the movies one time, and he would call me once an hour, and I thought, well, I'm all that, and he's just calling me because he's in love. And I didn't recognize that as being obsessive-compulsive.
When you start to feel uncomfortable, that's a sign to you that that's not the relationship that you should be in.